What's going on, guys? Dare here with Fantasy Football Advice, coming at you with another fantasy football video. Today, must target or avoid rookie wide receivers. I will say up front that I do like a lot of rookie wide receivers and their landing spots, but in this video we are going to go over all the top rookies that are being drafted within the top 75 wide receivers, then let you know if we think you should be targeting or avoiding them based on their draft position. Before we do get into the video though, stat of the day. Today's stat of the day is which 2019 rookie wide receiver had the best single week performance in fantasy football. Once again, that's which rookie wide receiver in 2019 had the single best fantasy performance of all rookies in 2019. Leave your answer in the comments section down below. We'll be happy to let you know who wins in tomorrow's video. Also, guys, if you do want to make yourself eligible for exclusive giveaways like autographed jerseys from our friends at pristineauction.com, consider signing up for our draft package. Not only is it loaded with information that's guaranteed to help you win your league, but all-in-access members are also eligible for exclusive giveaways. Most recently, a Deontay Johnson autographed jersey. So if you want access to that, visit our website and consider signing up and becoming a member. But with all that out of the way, let's hop right into the video. I'm going to list these players off in order of ADP, and the first rookie wide receiver that's being drafted in 2020 is none other than CeeDee Lamb of the Dallas Cowboys. Right now, CeeDee Lamb is coming off the board as the wide receiver 47, and I'll tell you right off the bat, I think that's a phenomenal deal. Since CeeDee Lamb is leading this list, coming in with the highest ADP, and I think it's a great deal. It should go without stating, I think at the current time, most of these rookie wide receivers can be looked at as great deals. Anything being drafted outside of the top 45 wide receivers, that's in the stage of the draft where we're really taking shots. We don't really care about the floor, so drafting players that may be more risky, that may also have massive upside, is what we're trying to do. And these rookie wide receivers that are being drafted in this range provide that exact combination for your team. Obviously, this video is recording and is going to come out in late June, early July, so the ADP is going to look vastly different come actual draft day than it is right now. But if the highest drafted rookie wide receiver is coming in at wide receiver 47, which is essentially a wide receiver 5, you're not going to be forced to have to put this player in your starting lineup early or often, so taking a shot on any of them in the hopes that it could pay off is not a bad deal. Obviously, though, I do expect them to climb up the draft boards as we inch closer to draft day, and CeeDee Lamb is one of those players where even if his ADP did climb up a bit higher, I would still be very much interested in him. In fact, not only do we have CeeDee Lamb listed as a target in the rankings, but we also have him ranked 10 spots higher at the wide receiver 37. The Dallas Cowboys do have all of the tools available to them to be one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in the league for 2020. Dak Prescott, while he has played a bit inconsistent in previous seasons, well, that has largely come down to the fact that the supporting cast around him was either banged up or unavailable. To Dak's credit, he has always played up to the level of skill of the supporting cast around him, and it's undeniable heading into the 2020 season, he has the best supporting cast he has ever seen as a pro. Right now, the best and one of the cheapest ways to get a piece of this offense, at least a main contributor in this offense from what we project, is going to be banking on the talent of first round rookie wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. I know Lamb being third on the depth chart at the wide receiver position on this team may not seem all that exciting, but you have to keep in mind he's an exceptional athlete, one of the types of players who doesn't need a ton of volume to perform. While other receivers in order to be fantasy relevant may require 120 plus targets, CeeDee Lamb is definitely a player who's able to put up similar numbers on 100 targets or possibly less. And speaking of targets, did we mention the Dallas Cowboys have the second most vacated targets in the entire league outside of the Atlanta Falcons, coming in at 190 total vacated targets from a season ago. Now, most of that did consist of the production left up by receivers that have left, like Jason Witten and Randall Cobb, so we should be able to pencil in CeeDee Lamb and Blake Jarwin to come in and overtake that volume left behind by those two receivers. Randall Cobb left behind alone 83 targets, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but just keep in mind AJ Brown Brown had 84 just a season ago, and he finished as a top 20 receiver as a rookie. So CeeDee Lamb to us definitely presents some value when being drafted at wide receiver 47. If you can get him at that stage of the draft for that price point, we support that draft pick 100%. Let's move on to the next player though. The next player we have is Jeudy of the Denver Broncos, and I'll be upfront in saying I am not as excited for Jeudy. While if you do look at the rankings, we do have him several spots above ADP, which would have him indicated as a value. We don't think he's a player you should be targeting. That's more of a testament to how we do believe that the rookie wide receivers as a whole are being undervalued in drafts and will likely come up. Jeudy himself, he finds himself on an offense led by Drew Lock, who should have an easy time adjusting to his second year in the NFL as a pro. He did show us a lot of promise in his rookie season, and when you do look at the weapons that are around him, it's pretty easy to see how Jeudy could be a main contributor as early as week 1. We can say that with confidence because we do know the level of talent around him outside of Fant and Courtland Sutton from the receiver position is very, very limited. Even though we do project him to have an established role, we do not know how valuable that role is going to be. It's going to be on the Denver Broncos, who were bottom 5 in passing last season, and it's still a team overall that has a solid run game and a good defense they can rely on. They were also bottom 10 in the percentage of passing plays that the team overall had when compared to the run plays, and it's not like we can expect that to have massive changes from year 1 to year 2 with Drew Lock, just because he should see improvement as a player. They did bring in Melvin Gordon to bolster what was already a pretty deep running back group with Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay, both rushers capable on the ground and both through the air. So a big splash signing of one of the biggest free agents, Melvin Gordon, at the running back position. It's a sign that they do want to alleviate as much of the pressure on Drew Lock as possible. Obviously, getting him a weapon like Jeudy is going to assist his development, but if they can keep the ball out of his hands as much as they can, clearly that's what the team wants to do. That is going to overall impact the total opportunities for Jeudy, and let's be honest, we're not expecting this to be one of the top scoring offenses in the league like we were with Dallas, so for us it's easy to avoid Jeudy at the cost of essentially CeeDee Lamb, just one draft spot lower. The next player we have is Henry Ruggs of the Las Vegas Raiders, and athletically, this player really has it all going on. He runs a 4.27 40, which is in the 100th percentile. He also boasts a 90th percentile speed score and a 98th percentile burst score. Most comparable player, Marquise Goodwin. While Marquise Goodwin didn't really have the success when it comes to fantasy football, it's undeniable the dude is athletically gifted, one of the fastest receivers in the league, an Olympic athlete as well. So you know Henry Ruggs being compared to him coming into the NFL, you essentially have a freak of nature on your hands. Well, that's exactly what the Las Vegas Raiders are getting with Henry Ruggs. I'm just a little bit bearish when it comes to my overall projections for him for the 2020 season. Once again, we have a very low volume passing offense. In fact, when you look at the splits between passing and running, they rank 24th in the league, so only 7 other teams opted to run at a higher rate than that of the Oakland Raiders in 2019. And to me, it doesn't feel like a team that seems desperate to have an identity placed into a wide receiver being the de facto one. They still have Tyrell Williams, who is heading into his second year on the team. We know first year players transitioning teams at the wide receiver position typically struggle in year 1, and Tyrell Williams was no exception, and I'm expecting improvements from him heading into his second year as a Raider. We also can't forget about breakout tight end Darren Waller, who posted over 1,100 receiving yards last season. You best believe he's going to continue to be involved this upcoming year. Most of this team's identity lies with Josh Jacobs and the run game being effective, and I just don't see enough volume consistently trickling down to Henry Ruggs to make him a predictable and valuable fantasy asset for your team. There's just not enough volume and too many mouths to feed in this offense, an offense that, let's face it, is going to be one of the bottom producers in the league. Up next, Michael Pittman of the Indianapolis Colts. I really like Pittman as a player. He has really good size. He comes in at 6'4", 223 pounds. Think Kenny Golladay, but with a little bit of extra weight on him. I think the Kenny Golladay comparison is pretty accurate. Not only do they have a very similar build, but their skill sets are also very similar. It's one of the reasons why Michael Pittman could be a sleeper for this upcoming season, but it's also another reason what could ultimately hold back the overall upside in this pick. He has the size to be a prototypical wide receiver one in an offense. That role historically has gone to T.Y. Hilton, T.Y. Hilton has been leading this team in receiving despite lacking the overall size, but one thing that's helped T.Y. Hilton be able to produce high numbers in this offense is his big play ability. He's not the type of player to need a massive amount of volume. We can't really say the same thing about someone like Michael Pittman, criticized heading into the draft for not having a strong yards after catch ability. While still an exceptional athlete, did raise question marks in his ability to show that speed on the field, so he may end up being a player who is going to require a bit more volume. I don't think he would have very much success if he was given a target total like AJ Brown had last season at 84. I don't think 84 targets would be enough to make him very fantasy relevant, at least not consistently, without getting very lucky in the touchdown department. If anything were to happen to T.Y. Hilton though, I could easily see him leading this team in targets and potentially being somebody you could end up starting in the flex. And for that type of value where he's going in drafts, it's a pretty fair trade-off. Moving over to a player I absolutely adore this season, and that's Jalen Reagor of the Philadelphia Eagles. This one's pretty simple, so we'll go over it quick, but there is a realistic outcome where Jalen Reagor is the leading receiver when it comes to volume, yardage, and touchdowns by as early as week 3. Alshon Jeffrey expected to start the season on the pup, with Zach Ertz having his production eaten into by Dallas Goedert. Not that Zach Ertz isn't playing a fair or substantial amount of snaps, but the Eagles are opting for more two tight end sets in the valuable snaps and valuable production Ertz has been getting in the past. Dallas Goedert, while on the field, has been getting some of that volume. This leaves Deshaun Jackson and Jalen Reagor as the highest upside plays for this team at the receiver position, and Deshaun Jackson played in just one game last season. While we do also love Deshaun Jackson for his upside, it's almost a lock that Jalen Reagor is going to be involved not only from the start of the season, but consistently from week 1 to week 16. You always want to get players that are going to be potentially volume leaders on offenses that are efficient, as well as have top 10 upside when it comes to scoring, and that's exactly what the Philadelphia offense brings. It's creative, it's led by Carson Wentz, who is by most standards a top 10 quarterback in the league as long as he's healthy, and we've seen the Philadelphia Eagles under the same coaching staff push for top 5 types of numbers, and if that range of outcomes were to hit with Jalen Reagor leading this team in targets and receptions, Reagor overall is going to smash this ADP. So for us, we definitely love targeting Reagor where he's currently coming off the board in drafts, and like I said, that's in the wide receiver 5 territory. The next player we have I do adore very similarly as I do with Jalen Reagor, and that's Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings. The reason I like him so much is because Stephon Diggs is gone, and then you go and insert a very talented first round receiver in Justin Jefferson to take his place. Yes, the consistency isn't going to be there in year 1. It's also an offense whose passing volume has been trending downward, but we do know this team, while led by Kirk Cousins, has funneled targets to the wide receiver position, meaning even in a situation where we're not getting a massive amount of volume, that will be made up for in the fact that the target distribution is going to be heavily weighted in the receiver's favor. We know it's a role that can support top 20 wide receiver production. We had seen it from Diggs for consistent seasons now, and while we're probably not going to see the same level of production when it comes to both consistency, upside, and floor like we saw with Diggs while he was filling that role, there should be some very fantasy relevant days if you were to start Justin Jefferson in his rookie season. Playing the matchup should be relatively easy if it's a game we can expect high passing volume. Justin Jefferson is going to have a higher chance to succeed, so having that type of player who could be a spot start on your team even in the first few weeks of the fantasy season, for a rookie, that's a pretty good deal where he's going. The final player we have is Denzel Mims of the New York Jets, and this is a player I'm not particularly high on. We do have him ranked several spots above ADP and consensus, and we also do have him listed as a sleeper, but I don't think he's going to have too much fantasy success without an injury to some of the receivers on this team. I do think there will be a pecking order, and I believe Jamison Crowder is likely to lead this team from the receiver position while healthy. And once again, it's a common theme, but it comes down to this offense overall not having a ton of volume from the receiving side of things. If Jamison Crowder were to fall off a cliff, I definitely would reverse that statement. He did receive 122 targets last season, but no other wide receiver outside of him was able to eclipse triple digits. I definitely see that trend continuing for 2020, which definitely caps the upside side of the potential for the fantasy production of Denzel Mims. Once again, if anything were to happen to Crowder, Mims' fantasy production would likely take a giant uptick, making him someone I would definitely target on the waiver wire if he was not yet drafted. Considering it would likely take an injury for him to reach fantasy starter level of production, that essentially makes him a wide receiver handcuff, and I'm not necessarily in the business of drafting wide receiver handcuffs, and there are a lot of other receivers that are being taken in and around this range who have an easier and more realistic range of outcomes that does have them potentially producing at a top 20 level, and for Mims, it seems like his is a bit of an uphill battle. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. We really hope you enjoyed. Let us know which rookie wide receivers you're targeting in this year's draft. If you'd like to submit a question to be in one of the audio only videos, please do so at our website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. Link for that as always in the description box below. If you did enjoy this video, how about hitting that like button? If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We thank you all for watching.